Welcome to the Thursday video series where I share examples which you can use at your workplace to make a point and be more human at work. In my sessions around personal branding, networking, and storytelling, one of the things that I always reiterate is the importance of building rapport and connections with your stakeholders through personal anecdotes. Last week, I was in Bali for IABC APAC's annual conference. The conference was on a Monday, Tuesday, so I decided to be in Bali over the weekend and visit a few temples which I hadn't been to in my previous trips. A friend of ours, let's call him A, referred us to a driver come guide, Made Yes, and off we went to see the beautiful Ulundanu temple. On the way, we got chatting, as you tend to do on drives, and we mentioned that we had got his reference through our friend A. Madhes's voice just lit up and he said, A's dad is the reason I am alive. We were hooked. As it turns out, when Madhes's mom was due to deliver, his dad was at the hospital to look after a sick relative. So when the labor pains started, his dad was not around to take his mom to the hospital. So his mom had asked their neighbor, A's dad, to help her. Now, that would have been sort of normal in any other day. But what is unusual about that day, that it was the day of Nepi. Nepi is Balinese Day of Silence. It's a public holiday in Indonesia, and people normally observe it by fasting and meditation. It's observed from 6 a.m. until 6 a.m. the next day, and it is meant for self-reflection. And as such, anything that will interfere with that purpose is restricted. So, which means things like no fires are lit, no working, no entertainment, no traveling, and for some people, no talking or eating at all. The effect of these prohibitions is that the normally bustling streets of Bali remain empty. And that is literally pin drop silence because limited access to internet, TVs and radios are off at homes. So sometimes even inside homes, there are very few signs of activity. The only people who are seen outdoors at that time are the pechalang, traditional security men who patrol the streets to ensure that the prohibitions are followed. But A's dad went ahead and took Madhes's mom to the hospital, and they were stopped many times on the way by the pechalang. And A's dad had to say, hey, it's an emergency. She's about to deliver. I need to get to the hospital. And he weaved his way to the hospital. Luckily, they arrived on time and Madhes was born safely. Madhes then told us that I will always remain grateful to A's dad. And even last week when I saw him, I told him this. And I'm so glad that I get to drive their friends now. What is your impression about Madhes as a person? To me, in this short anecdote, Madhes gave us a glimpse of who he is. Someone who's humble, someone who's grateful, someone who values friendships. Stories create intimacy, and when people meet, you can share yourself through a story. As Patty Dick said, the shortest distance between two people is a story. If you and your teams need help with building your connections with your stakeholders, whether you want to communicate change, communicate your vision and strategy, or influence action, you know where to find me. I am on LinkedIn. Please do reach out.